Okay.
Okay, so go ahead.
Got it. Okay, excellent. So you get two ways that you can get to 3D Experience. You can use the same SolidWorks that you've got right now, you're showing a minute ago. You
Yep.
can install an add-in. And that one's just called connecting it. That one, the only limitation there is you can't be more than 3 years old, but
Okay.
I wouldn't expect you guys would be on the
Yeah,
EDU
we're
stuff.
good
The
on
most
that.
I see is 1 year there.
Yep.
So you'll see a license called Collaborative Designer for SolidWorks, and that's literally what connects SolidWorks to 3D Experience. It's a
Okay.
little add-in. In fact, I've got mine open for
Okay.
something I was doing earlier. So here's my SolidWorks. This app that's running in my task pane over here, that's the add-in. So
Okay.
if I wanted to save my file up to 3D Experience and put it in there, I just right-click it and hit save. So there's a save button here that pushes it
So
up.
right now, the thing on the screen in SolidWorks is saved to your local drive. If you go
Yeah,
to this thing here, this tab with 3D Experience, you do what you're doing, and then it saves it to the cloud.
exactly. And it's kind of telling me here in the status that it hasn't been saved to the cloud yet.
Yep.
Yeah, even if I hover, it tells me. And once I save it, it'll tell me all sorts of other stuff. Like it'll be Rev A in work, all sorts of things. And yeah, that's just an
So at that
add-in for
point, is it
SolidWorks.
still on your hard drive?
At that point, I can delete it from my hard drive.
It
It
wouldn't
actually
matter.
still would be there, but from that point on, I'm only going to work with it out of 3D Experience. And I mean, no matter what data management system you go with, that's the recommendation. You're either all in that data management system or you're not. Can't really be halfway in or out, or
You'll be
you're
screwed
running into
up. Yeah.
problems. Yeah. So the other way to get this stuff is buying SolidWorks with the name 3D Experience SolidWorks.
Okay.
And this is actually at its core, this is still SolidWorks. It still installs locally on a Windows machine and has the core functionality of SolidWorks, but it's got a couple differences that I'm naming here. One, instead of typing in a serial number when you install SolidWorks, you just use a login. So that's one thing that's different, but honestly, you're going to otherwise you'd have a serial number for SolidWorks and a login for 3D Experience. This way, no serial number, just a login. It still installs on Windows. It's always going to be the latest version of SolidWorks. You can't run any older versions. And you'll actually launch it by logging into 3D Experience and clicking on SolidWorks. You install it from there too, but otherwise it's core. What's
So this
different?
is what you were describing to me the other day. If you have solid, like we've got now, we've got 200 licenses, and anybody can use those licenses until we get to 201 user, and then it says you can't get any more. For when we do it this way, we got 200 licenses. We assign each one of those licenses to an individual user with Texas State credentials, and then they can log in from campus or their home computer, wherever. And you only can get into the system through this portal if you've been assigned a user to use 3D Experience. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I 100% would not recommend replacing your 200 seat SNL with this type of licensing. It would not work well at all. But yeah, that's how it would function. Maybe for small groups, you could go this way, one-offs here and there. You go this route. And some of the EDU stuff for schools that don't have, say, a 200 seat network, but they've got like 10, they might end up going this way. And those schools allow their students to download directly, right? And install directly on the smaller ones. They might use this, but yeah, for like a big 200 seat network, it's not the way to go.
Okay.
It does limit you in a couple ways too. One, no third-party add-in support. So like you want to install the McMaster-Carr add-in for SolidWorks, you cannot do that here.
Okay.
Very limited API. A lot of people like to write complicated macros and automate the SolidWorks interface. Super limited here. You basically can't do that.
Okay.
And then there's some limited SolidWorks add-ins. And this is the thing that hits a lot of folks. So these are the add-ins that are supported. If you're running this 3D Experience SolidWorks tool, you can still do, say you have SolidWorks Premium, you could still do linear static simulations. You could still do routing of pipes and tubes. You could still use photo view 360 if you wanted. You could still do, actually, I'm not sure if you do photo view. You could do visualize. You could do SolidWorks visualize for photo rendering. You could do toolbox.
So if we have 3D Experience, in other words, right now, just to go back, yeah, there you go. In other words, we use right now with our 200 seat license thing, that feature works. That's where it does, you pull in a step file and it converts it to SolidWorks features.
Yeah.
Okay, so we use feature works. We use linear static simulation. We use motion. We use routing. I say I use it. Nobody else uses it but me. and then Toolbox. So we use most of this stuff. So if
Yeah.
we go to 3D Experience, if we access SolidWorks through 3D Experience, this is what's still available through 3D Experience.
Yeah, just in
Okay.
that version, that 3D Experience SolidWorks version. And I'm going to recommend what I think is actually going to be best for you guys. It's not 3D Experience SolidWorks.
Okay,
But
that's fine.
I'll show you why.
I'll let you get to your punchline here. Keep going. This is good.
Yeah. So, these are the ones that are not supported. So if you went, hey, we're going to do 3D Experience SolidWorks, basically there is some tool on the 3D Experience platform, another piece of software that Dassault owns that replaces the functionality of this stuff here. So none of these add-ins would be available anymore. Any of the Express Wizards, SolidWorks PDM, the Task Scheduler, SimExpress, SolidWorks Electrical, all these things are like crossed up. Even Simulation Professional and Simulation Premium, not possible because you'd want to use the 3D Experience simulation tools that run on Abacus and all
Okay,
that
so
good stuff.
just to kind of reiterate what you just said, on these items here, Treehouse we use that Pro, we use that Simulation Premium. Maybe somebody uses PCB stuff, PDM stuff. I'm starting to try to use. Electrical 3D, I think, is used. Flow, I know, is used.
It's my favorite.
So
one,
there's, yeah, I know. I've seen your presentation. Awesome. So anyway, this is good to know, because if we go full on 3D Experience, then these are not available, but there's a replacement you're fixing to tell me about.
There's a replacement for most of these. Some of the replacements are not as strong over on 3D Experience platform, because these are really strong, right? They've been out for a long time. They're super robust. Like every one of these tools is really strong. So say Sim Pro and Premium is good examples. We're talking Sim. That stuff is great inside the SolidWorks interface. You've seen how it works. Students can do that pretty quick. But then there's the higher level Abacus tools. Those have a steeper learning curve for sure. The interface is different. Solve times are longer. And so you're making a trade-off to go to those, but those tools are really strong in 3D Experience because Abacus has been around for a long time.
Well, that's what Dr. Musi is familiar with Abacus, and he likes Abacus, and he's interested in using that part of 3D Experience. So like you said earlier, we could keep our 200 seat licenses for classes that don't need this high-end stuff, and then he could get the 3D Experience and have these Abacus kernel simulation tools that you're fixing to show here.
Yeah, exactly. Some of these other tools here too would be, I think, better in SolidWorks. For instance, I think our electrical package is much better in SolidWorks. I think our Flow CFD, unless you have a couple of niche reasons to go to the platform, I think the Flow is actually much better inside of SolidWorks.
I like it. It works good for me.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a big trade-off to use this version called 3D Experience SolidWorks. But if we go back to here, this is really the best of both worlds. Connect SolidWorks with 3D Experience through what's called Collaborative Designer for SolidWorks. This is the version that I'm using. So I still get SolidWorks the way I've always had it. I get all the add-ins. It can do all the bells and whistles. And then I just install an add-in. Once I install that add-in, I get all the 3D Experience stuff too. So I get both worlds. I don't have to make any trade-offs at all. And I mean, that's what I would look at for you guys. Definitely on your SNL, like network stuff, I would like leave that the same in terms of licensing. And then if somebody wants to get in 3D Experience for simulation, we just look at the connector and whatever tools they want off the 3D Experience platform.
That's really appealing because this mechanical engineering program is just starting in the fall. And there's going to be, some 18-year-old freshmen that come in, and they're not going to need to have any of this stuff. And that'll allow us time to figure out what we're going to do with 3D Experience while we're still using the current SolidWorks installation on the computers in the lab.
Yeah. Do you guys have students who install SolidWorks on their personal computers?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think those.
Go ahead.
I think those guys are going to like 3D Experience stuff for those types of students. They're not necessarily coming to connect to the network, or maybe they're connecting, but they've got their installed thing they could use back at their house or their dorm room, right?
Yeah, and those students are my senior design students, and those are the ones that are going to want to have access to the Abacus modeling simulation and stuff like that. So
those guys might be really good to go with this because I'll give you an example. Let's say over here, I was just showing one of my coworkers the other day. just got him a license. And so I can access my different apps. I'm just gonna do this in SolidWorks at the moment. I can do this stuff in the web too, but you can access all these things just here inside of SolidWorks. And he was making some stuff the other day. I don't know. It's been 2 days since I talked to him, so I don't know what else he's done. But I'm gonna open up the bookmarks, which is basically working folders. He made a bunch of folders. That's kind of cool. Let's look at his structures. So I can see what he's been doing. Left that one empty. See what
Because it's on the cloud. It's on the cloud. Everybody can see it.
Exactly. Anybody who's invited here, I can see he's got Rev ABC, and they're all unlocked. And I can just drag one of these into SolidWorks. It's going to download this from the cloud and put it here. So if I was on a design project on the, with other guys in the team, this is kind of the easiest way to go. Okay, I can see it's been released. It's Rev C. I just, downloaded and opened it. And then I could, since it's not locked, I could lock it, get right axe to it, make changes, bump the rev, release it. So they could do that from their houses. That's a real benefit here.
And if you lock that thing and you're changing it, and I log in at 9:30, it's going to say, "Oh, Philip's got this locked. He's using it," and I'll know that right away when I try to open it.
Exactly. Yeah, you can open it up, view it and stuff, but you can't make changes. You'll see a lock. It'll say my name up there.
Sure.
All that good stuff.
This is really good because this is what that senior design classes that I teach now. I don't think I'm going to teach them in the future, but anyway, they're all working on the same thing, and they need to know who's got it open, when they got it open. And so somebody's working on it at 9 o'clock at night, and somebody logs in at 10 o'clock and they still got it open and they're working on it, then they'll know that, hey, the other guy's got it open. So this is good.
That's it. I think it fits really well for them because they don't need, you don't have to set up a server. You don't have to set up an IT thing. You'll probably have a little bit of getting started stuff so they know where things are. And there's some setup stuff with that. For most of our customers, we still do an implementation, like spend some hours with us to get up and running. So it doesn't take you weeks to get up and running. And then we'll do little progress updates. But yeah, once they've got it there, then I'll just jump over to my web browser real quick.
Sure.
Here's the same stuff in my web browser. So I could go to that working folder, NTX thing we were looking in frames. You could see the stuff, you could find it. From here, you access all your different licenses from this compass in the top left, this start menu.
Okay.
Call it like a start button. I've got all sorts of different roles. Luckily for me, like usual, I got all the licenses. And so I might go down and find one for simulation. You'll see on these two, like this simulation one called Structural Mechanics Engineer. This one does nonlinear and dynamics, and it says Simulia next to it. That's Dassault Systems brand name for all their sim products. So you actually won't see the name like Abacus, but that's the solver and things.
Yep.
So if I click on that one, it gives me a whole bunch of different apps that are in that license. There's stuff for making meshes. There's stuff for making, prepping the model, material definition apps. And then the structural model creation is the main app I use. So if I just have one of these frames selected, and then I click on the app I want to use, it'll start launching that app. Now, these big simulation apps, they are actually installed locally, just like SolidWorks is. So actually on my other monitor, there's like a loading window, splash screen like we launch SolidWorks, and it's launching that program. But that's how you do it. That's how you get it from SolidWorks into, a high-end sim tool.
So if we get this 3D Experience, we would need, I think this is okay, we would need to load it on every single computer that students have access to, but only the ones that are assigned a serial number to 3D Experience will be able to click that button and do what you're doing now.
Yeah, well, and the 3D Experience will be a login.
Yeah, that's what I mean. In other words, a student, if I have some freshman that clicks on this thing and wants to do some kind of structural analysis using that Abacus solver, they're not going to be able to do it because they don't have a login to 3D Experience. They're just going to use the regular SolidWorks license.
Right. What it looks like for your side, I wouldn't even worry about installing anything ahead of time. What it looks like from your side, I'll show you the.
Well, but you said you have to install that on the physical computer.
You do. I'll show you why you don't need to worry about it though. So this
well,
is.
I know I don't have to worry about it, but I got to get my I got to get my IT department to do something.
Well, this whole thing is kind of set up to make the IT department's life easier.
Oh, okay. Say that again.
Yeah, this whole thing
is designed to make the IT department lives easier. Okay, yeah, I got that. Okay, good. That's going to make me happy because they got their hands full with already what they got. So that's good news. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, just like we talked about, like you don't have to have a server, but you get to do data management, right? So they don't have to worry about servers or Microsoft SQL or any of that. What I'm showing you right here is actually our admin dashboard, platform dashboard. So probably only you would see this or one other person, and you can invite people here. You can make groups of
Holy
users.
crap. This is awesome. Yeah.
Yes. So what I do is I invite people and I
Yeah.
go, okay, I want this student to be invited. I put in their email address and then I check box what licenses I want them to have, right?
Yeah.
Then they're going to get an email that says, hey, click this link, create a login. They click the link, they create a login. Bam. Now they're looking at usually a starter dashboard. Let's say they might be looking because there's these predefined ones.
Mhm.
So they might be looking at something like my first dashboard. So it gives them a pre-configured layout,
Sure.
like getting started stuff. When they log in, they'll click on this compass and they'll go, they won't have as many roles as me. They'll see the SolidWorks app. They'll only have the one. And when they click on it, it'll say install now because it's not installed.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And the installation manager it's not like for SolidWorks where you've got 10 panels and you answer all these questions.
Yeah, it just does it.
It just does it. It doesn't even give you any options. And that's the
Good.
same for the simulation stuff. When they want to use it, they'll click on it. Then it says, are you ready to download and install? And they hit yes, and it just does it. And then next time they click on it, it just launches and works.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome because yeah, that's what would happen. I'd go to first day of class. I'm going to say you 5 students have access to 3D Experience. I just sent you an email through that thing you just showed me, adding that users.
Yep.
And they do it and it loads it on their, whatever they're using at the time, their personal computer. It just loads it and then they have access and then they go.
You got it.
Hey,
That's
Philip, is there EDU pricing for all of these roles or apps that they may want?
I believe there is, but that's still.
Because I looked the other day and I didn't see anything that was like in 3D Experience that was labeled EDU. So I was a little.
Yeah, I know. If you look in the My Offer app, there's an EDU portfolio there. On the pricing side, might have to ask, I don't know, somebody else in sales like Brenna or whoever our EDU liaison is, but I can show you where that portfolio side is too in My Offer.
I'd be good.
And then let's go. One thing that you would like here, just because we are talking technical stuff. There is an eligibility tool.
Okay.
Now, I don't see many problems with machines. This will just tell you the same stuff as SolidWorks tends to tell you, which is like update your graphics driver. But it kind of works even if you don't have a good graphics driver. But this is a nice one. If students are like, I don't know if my internet's good enough, I don't know how hard I can run it. They can run this ahead of time and it'll just give you a bunch of green checks, or red X's.
That's awesome. Yeah, because what I do now is I just say, hey, look at those links on the SolidWorks website, system requirements, graphics card requirements. And I tell them to look at that. And if you meet that requirement, then I'll send you a link so you can download it and load it on your personal computer. And they don't watch it. And then they call me back and say, hey, it's so slow, I can't use it. It's like, well, you didn't look at the requirements. So
Yeah.
here they can just click on that link and it runs a real-time test on their whatever computer they're logged in on to say, hey, this is going to work or it's not going to work.
Exactly. You can even say when it's done running the test, it gives you a report. You can even say, send me the report. If you
I
send
like
it to me,
that.
I'll send you a link.
I like that. Yeah, because otherwise they'll say, yeah, my computer's great. It's only 10 years old. It'll be fine. It's like, no, it's not going to be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you showed me that.
Yeah, no problem. Still working Zoom. Oh, that's the wrong button. Let's go. I use a couple different programs, but I haven't used Zoom as heavily in a while.
Yeah, I'm a Zoom guy. It works once you know what you're doing, then it'll it's not too bad. But it's like anything else. Once you get used to something, you keep using it.
Yeah.
All right. So there's that link. That's good. All right. Well, I thought I was going to sit here and ask you questions for 30 minutes, but you've just answered every single question I had without.
I love hearing that. I think the 3D Experience stuff, just like saving your files in, data managing them, is actually extremely simple. But most folks that have looked at the marketing have been a little confused in the last couple of years.
Well, I think the feedback you got from the user group meeting was, yeah, the ones that have used it, they're just saying this is confusing, and it's a marketing thing.
It's a marketing thing.
I
Also,
can't even pronounce them, Simula and Dramala or whatever it is. And so it's just, you got to get your customer, or the
Yeah.
marketing guys have to get their customers like me to understand what it is. And this kind of communication like we're doing helps that. So
yeah, I think you run into two issues with it, like the marketing, like you said. And so, we have to have a conversation with folks to just go, what tools do you need? Make sure we figure it out and go, these are the ones you need. Don't worry about what they're called in the marketing,
sure.
And then the other thing is knowing the levels, because those guys, the user group meeting, a lot of them, like the guys who run the meeting, they use big data management systems, big CRM systems.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
This is actually the lowest level. Do you remember a work group from SolidWorks? pretty
I've
old.
never really used a PDM. I used Windchill with Creo Pro E back in the day,
Sure.
but I never really used any PDM stuff with SolidWorks. But so this is a previous incarnation.
It's a previous one. It didn't have all the functionality that even Windchill has. So it's very like just the basics. And that's the way to think about 3D Experience. So some of the guys in the user group, they're like, well, I don't like the way it does this. I want it to do that. And I'm like, that's because it's not for you, man. You're already bigger than it,
Sure.
when it comes to data management.
But in 10 years from now or 5 years from now, we'll get together and this thing will evolve into something that's getting closer to.
Yeah, it very well could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I guess my only last question, I'm not even sure how to ask it, but is that 3D Experience thing, that 50% off that? I'm not going to be able, there's nobody else that is going to, I thought I was just going to buy the thing and just see how it worked for the next year. Is that a $5,000 thing or $1,000 thing? What?
So about the commercial price for this stuff, like SolidWorks is about, I don't know, $5,000 or $6,000 thing.
Just
Nate's
by
probably
itself.
cringing, but by itself, it's like that much. For most of the time, just for adding the data management 3D Experience, the check in, check out from my house to your house, is probably about $1,500, something like that a year. And then the simulation stuff can be quite a bit more. It can be tens of thousands more.
So I'm at least $10,000 to get some basic if I want to use the full deal 3D Experience with the simulation using the Abacus solver and the flow simulation, I'm way over $10,000.
Yeah, for the sim stuff, especially for the sim stuff, it's easy to be at 15, 20,000 a year on the simulation. So the data management, the basic, let's work from our houses, like $1,500, but the simulation stuff north of 15,000.
Sure.
So is
that the same for EDU though? Because historically, EDU is way less expensive than regular SolidWorks.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not. That's kind of my idea in my head of commercial pricing. I'm sure for the EDU, we're going to get cheaper than that.
So who can tell me what it would cost me? See, in other words, I would be buying this personally because the department, kind of like we talked last time, they're going through the hoops with the IT department at Texas State trying to just approve the fact that we could use this software. And so that's months away, but before they do that, I was hoping to get a license to check it out before then. And
yeah, we can.
Do they trial it, right, Philip?
Philip suggested I get that maker thing, and that says $10 a month, so I can swing that. So, but so that's step one. I want to do that yesterday.
Yeah, they don't really trial it without putting some skin in. So like if you wanted to try the data,
that's what I figured.
You already had $1,000.
Here's the demo, because some knucklehead like me gets the demo and they don't even know what they're doing. And then a month later they get pissed and say, this is a horrible product. It's not a horrible product. It's because I don't know how to really implement it. So you guys have to be intimately involved with that rollout. And you're not giving out demos because the customer's going to screw it up because they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, I think the answer to my question is I'm just going to get that maker thing, and that'll answer 90% of my questions about how it works. Because that's all the questions I'm getting from this mechanical engineering department is, how does it work? How can you roll how will it affect your summers? How will it affect your, freshman, sophomore level classes?
Right.
And I can say, okay, I've used this maker thing and we can do 3D printing stuff and we can do it on the cloud, and I can answer those questions for them. And then when it comes time to do when and if they ever get Texas State to approve this thing, then they can start talking about getting you guys to come in and do some kind of a slow roll in.
Yeah, and we'll do. I'll talk with Nathan after this too, just so we'll nail down what's available in EDU pricing, so we're ready if they ever get there. But yeah, I think the makers one is a good way to go. You just know, like in the beginning, when I talked about those add-ins that aren't supported, that maker version is 3D Experience SolidWorks. So like you wouldn't get Sim Pro or Sim Premium. You don't get
Understand.
SolidWorks Flow Sim,
Yep.
but the rest is core. And the other thing to know is your files that you save in the maker version, they'll only open up in the maker version.
Okay, that's fine. That's why it's only $10 a month. That's
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. Yeah.
So that's a good strategy. I mean, the marketing guys have that done right, because it's like, yeah, the maker guys, right now they're using Fusion 360 and they're getting pissed off because they're fixing to start charging for it. And then you guys can say, hey, do the 3D Experience Maker. And so the marketing, whoever's in charge of that marketing effort, I give
They
them
got
a-
one thing right. Huh?
well, I don't know. They might have got one more than one thing right, but they got that right. Okay. So, hey, listen, I really appreciate you, Philip and Nathan, your time. I'm going to go download that maker version and play around with that. And I'm going to pass this on to Dr. Musi and let him, he knows a lot of this stuff. I talked to him the other day, but maybe there's new information here that might help him out.
Yeah. And then Mark, when you're ready, if you do want to get a full quote for whatever roles or, apps you want inside of 3D Experience, just let me know. And then I can get with Philip and we'll get pricing
Okay.
coordinated and we'll get you taken care of.
All right, Nathan, I appreciate it very much.
You
Do you
bet.
all know, what's her name? She's trying to help me with this Mastercam. It's a sad story on our side. Where is it? Chet, what's her name? Give me 1 minute here.
Sure.
Okay.
Where is it? Text engineering. I'm almost there. Tech Mastercam. Shine Peen, P-E-N-E.
China?
Oh yeah.
Okay, tell her that I personally apologize to her, because she's been helping me with quotes for Mastercam for months, and I can't get our system to go write you guys a check. And so now they're all throwing their hairs on fire, saying, "Hey, how come we don't have the quote expired at the end of May, just like she told me?" And they dicked around and didn't get you guys a check. And so now I'm having to go through and redo the whole process. So I know that she thinks that we're complete idiots, and she's perfectly correct. And so just tell her, if you see her, just tell her, hey, Summer says, I'm sorry, we can't get our S together. So, but eventually before the end of the month, we'll get a check so we can get Mastercam going. I don't teach the Mastercam classes, but I'm trying to help them. So anyway, that's kind of a funny story, I guess. All right, gentlemen, thanks so much for your help. And Nathan, like you said, once we figure out that we're going to pull the trigger and the IT department approves it, then I'll get you to work with him and get a quote for us.
That sounds good. And Phillips, thanks for your expertise and time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my
Absolutely.
pleasure, guys. It's good
All
talking to
right.
you guys this morning.
All right, we'll see you, gentlemen.
Take care, Mark.
You bet.